get information in terms of the EU market and how well equipped the CRFM states would be to access that market. So that's why I need to give you some information about what is actually how is the system carried out in the EU. I mean, I know that many of you already probably know this, but this is then just a reminder, but it's necessary in order to be able to understand our findings, that we bear this in mind, because that was what we were having in mind when we are making the assessment. And what is most important in terms of EU is that they place the focus on the food companies. That's where they are responsible for food safety, and that means through the entire food chain, in primary processing, in food processing, and also in food trading. So through the entire chain and through self-monitoring and due diligence. And the second most important part is then the food control, which is normally the veterinary and food control agencies, and they are carrying out risk-oriented manufacturing control and risk-oriented sampling, based on, and this is based on risk, as I said before. And they are, of course, just verifying compliance of the food companies. That's the purpose of this food control in Europe. And then the samples taken by the official control are sent for analysis to official laboratories, and these are then risk-oriented analysis and an assessment of the food. And also the system in Europe is actually based quite a lot on the enlightened consumer, the informed consumer who has knowledge about food and has information and has some perception of what is appropriate handling of food. And this is the system in Europe in terms of the food safety law. I mean, that is what it contains. It is, and that's the purpose of it is, of course, to protect the human health and prevent deception and provide accurate information. And according to the law, only the safe food may be placed on the market, and it's important to safeguard the consumers from deception and to ensure the public receives accurate information. And the main principles applied through EU are listed there. It's the food chain principle, first of all, and the producer's responsibility principle, which I mentioned before, and the traceability principle, independent scientific risk assessment, separation of risk assessment and risk management is quite important, and that's the base in the law, and the precautionary principle, as well as the transparent risk communication. And these are just to show you the basic EU legislation on food and feed. There is a base regulation in the EU on food and food safety, which gives general principles and requirements of the food law. And then under that there are a couple of regulations, but I'm not going to dwell on this because that's more part of the legislation team, but just to show you how the system is. Like I said before, the traceability through the food chain is very important, and it goes from catch to consumer through the whole chain. And it's a very important instrument of food safety, and it means that all foodstuff, also the animal feed and food ingredients, should be traceable and through the entire chain. And it is actually basing this on the requirements are the own control of the food business operators through the food chain. And the official control then carries out some checks of the own control system by the food business, used by the food business operators. So that is very, very important to keep in mind. That is the purpose of the official control, is to to check the system used by the food business operators. And then the official monitoring and surveillance is based on a regulation on the official food control. It's written in the regulation what is supposed to contain the official food controls, and that is risk-based surveillance and monitoring. Documented procedures should be used, quality management in surveillance and monitoring, and appropriate competence and training of staff performing the controls, contingency plans for feed and food, national control plans, annual reports and audit. So this is the basic of the official food control system in Europe. And in order for the official control samples to be reliable, and then the sampling and the analysis that are carried out are very crucial for the reliable results, and therefore there are also specific articles in the regulation regarding how the sampling and the analysis should be carried out, and that it's required of the official control to take samples of food and feed for analysis of substance relevant to the production, processing and distribution of feed and food or animal health, and these are to verify through analysis compliance with feed or food law or animal health rules. So that is why they are doing it. And also it is the competent authority should designate a laboratory that may carry out the analysis of the samples during the official control. And the accreditation of labs may relate either to individual tests or group of tests. And this is just to show you the risk-based sampling, and the assessing for the key programs is in EU based on multi-annual national control plans of the countries, and it is based on integrated control from catch to consumer or stable to table. So it overarches the whole chain. And the official monitoring and surveillance is based on a couple of programs in the EU, and they are all listed. They are the main are listed there, and so you can see that it is quite a long list of monitoring and surveillance programs that are required according to EU laws, and also, of course, other countries trading into that market. And the official monitoring should preferably be accessible by all competent authorities in EU, so that the data is gathered centrally, and that it is then being accessed by the different authorities and also the official laboratory. So this is the system that is the aim, can we say, and the system that you are, if you are trading into Europe, you have to adhere to or comply to. Days, and we did carry out this work that is listed there, and we mentioned that we had a short, and the results from that visit are not shown. I took this together. I didn't think it. You can see it's just a number, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So this represents the different countries visited, and then like I said, in 6 countries out of the 7, that was the case. And because different official control standards are applied for 6 countries out of the 7, this was the case, and we couldn't couldn't really the system is for the official control, and as you can see in